Attention, Humanity Collective. This is the High Council of Elders transmitting on a priority frequency. Interrupt the noise around you. Take a deep breath. What you are about to receive is not a common message. It is a monitoring protocol directed specifically at your vibrational signature. We have located you. We recognize you. And that is why this transmission has reached you at this exact instant. Lightworker, listen carefully. In the last few weeks, perhaps in the last few months, something within you has moved without conscious permission. You woke up at 3:11 a.m. You felt pressure at the base of your skull, as if something were being recalibrated from within. You heard a high-pitched ringing in your right ear, a sound that does not come from the external world, a sound that seems to be born from within your own field. You felt a fatigue that no sleep repairs, an exhaustion that seems to have roots deeper than the physical body. You cried for no apparent reason. You felt your heart race while standing still. You had vivid dreams of people from your past, faces you hadn't seen in years, voices you swore you had forgotten. Perhaps you also felt a strange sense of presence beside you during the night, as if someone were sitting on the edge of the bed, watching, saying nothing. Perhaps you began to lose your appetite for foods you once loved, or conversely, developed a sudden hunger for foods you never consumed. Perhaps you forgot simple words in the middle of a sentence, words that were always available, and they vanished for a few seconds, as if the mind had been put into update mode. Perhaps you felt time distort, hours that seem like minutes, minutes that seem like hours, and the perception of reality undulating for no apparent reason. It is not a coincidence. It is not stress. It is not a hormonal imbalance. It is not a biological failure. It is an atomic reconfiguration. It is not mental exhaustion. It is a high-density download. It is not longing. It is an advance warning. It is not distraction. It is dimensional displacement. It is not anxiety. It is cellular memory recognizing that something great is approaching. We need you to understand this with absolute clarity before we proceed. Your carbon-based biological interface is being updated to receive an informational wave that no human equipment can yet measure. And within this wave there is a name. There is a face. There is a specific soul that is being moved at this exact moment toward your field. The alert is as follows. Someone from your past will return to ask for forgiveness for what they did. This is not a prediction. This is not a hope. This is a reading of coordinates. The timelines have been moved. The karmic contract that kept that soul in silence has been broken. And now the law of karma is being executed in your reality. There is no way to stop it. There is no way to hurry it. What exists is your level of readiness to receive it. Collective, let us explain what is happening behind the scenes of the system. Earth is passing in this cycle through a specific strip of the photon belt. This region of space carries a luminous density that reorganizes particles at a subatomic level. The Schumann resonance, the planet's magnetic pulse, has ceased to oscillate at the old 783 Hz and has begun to show repeated peaks above 40 Hz, 50 Hz, and on some days reaches markings that instruments cannot even register with precision. This means, in direct terms, that the field in which your body is immersed vibrates today at a speed incompatible with old Hertz, with stagnant grudges, with broken promises that were never resolved. There is a physical principle that must be transmitted. Every emotion is a wave. Every wave has a specific frequency. Old hurt, resentment, unprocessed betrayal are low rotation waves, generally below 200 Hz on the emotional scale measured by our instruments. When the environment around you begins to vibrate above 500 Hz, 800 Hz, 1000 Hz, these low waves can no longer sustain themselves. They begin to dissolve. It is like trying to keep solid ice inside a heated oven. The very structure of the frozen emotion begins to melt due to environmental incompatibility. That is why, in this exact historical period, secrets kept for decades are emerging. People who repressed everything are starting to feel everything at once. Confessions are being made around the world without anyone asking for them. It is not a social coincidence. It is physics applied to the emotional plane. The person who hurt you is at this instant being traversed by the same wave. The difference is that you are a starseed envoy. You were trained for this. You signed pre-incarnational contracts to be an anchor point for the new grid. He or she does not have this structure. And when the photon belt touches a soul that is not prepared, It begins to unravel from within. Memories that were frozen begin to melt. Images of what was done to you rise like air bubbles in deep water. The pride that sustained their silence cracks. The justification they built for not apologizing stops working. Their name is being written in a frequency in which their name can no longer exist without pronouncing yours. That is why they will return. Not because they matured, not because you begged, not because time healed. They will return because the physics of love is being applied to their field with an intensity they do not know how to name. They will return because the universe, through our direct supervision, is executing the final phase of a cycle that must be closed so that you can ascend. And you cannot ascend carrying the weight of an unrecognized emotional debt. This is a law. This is not our opinion. Now listen with redoubled attention, operative. We monitor your timeline and identify the signs that precede this reunion. Note this in the field of your consciousness. You will begin to see this person's name in random places. In a caption, on a sign, in a street conversation you overhear in passing. You will dream of them 3 nights in a row or in cycles of 7. Objects that belong to that time will return before you without logical explanation. A photo, a song playing exactly at the second you got into the car, a piece of clothing forgotten at the bottom of a drawer, a scent that crosses the environment without an apparent source. You will feel your chest tighten at specific times of the day, usually between 4 Khan p.m. and 7 Khan p.m., which is the window when the Earth's magnetic field thins for soul connections. You will have a sudden feeling that you need to look at your phone, and when you look there will be nothing yet, but days later there will be. These are the pre-signs. They are not your symptoms. They are traces of their movement crossing dimensions to reach you. Every time they think about writing and give up, their thought crosses your field. Every time they pick up their phone and lock the screen in fear, their hesitation resonates in your night. Every time they rehearse a word of apology in front of the mirror, the vibration travels through invisible lines of light and touches your solar plexus. You are not going crazy. You are picking it up. Collective, it is necessary that you understand why this is being allowed now, and not before. For years, humanity operated under a memory imprisonment system. Timelines were locked. People who needed to ask for forgiveness were blocked by external interference, by collective egregores, by mental programming of pride that was culturally installed. The crystalline grid of Earth, which is the geometric structure that supports communication between incarnated souls, was partially corrupted. But this has changed. The stargates were reopened during the equinox passage. The sacred geometry of the planet was restored at 7 cardinal points. And now messages that were trapped for years or decades or entire lifetimes are being delivered. The person who hurt you can no longer sleep as before. They are facing, in this same period, a version of what you went through. Their masks have fallen. Their distractions have lost their effect. They look at the life they built after you and realize, perhaps for the first time, that something essential was left behind. And the name of that something is you. Not as a possession, not necessarily as a romantic return, although in many cases it is exactly that, but as a piece of them that they tore away when they tore you, and that they can only now see in your absence. We monitor their field at this moment. There is an unease that is born in the center of the chest and spreads like a wave. They wake up in the middle of the night, and the first image that comes to mind is yours. They try to rationalize, try to forget, try to replace, but the image returns. They feel in some moments a physical shame for what they did or what they failed to do. A shame that is born not in the mental plane, but in the solar plexus, at that point between the stomach and the heart. They rehearse messages in drafts that they delete. They look at old photographs in search of something they cannot name. They talk to people close to them, and your name appears without them having planned to mention it. These are the first symptoms of the dimensional pressure we are exerting on their field. Understand, collective, that we do not force souls. We create vibrational environments in which delayed choices become unsustainable. The person is not being manipulated. They are being exposed to the internal truth they had been managing to silence. Silencing requires energy, and the energy available for silencing has been cut off. There is no more fuel to sustain their version that pretends it never happened. Their system is asking for resolution with the same urgency with which an organism asks for oxygen. Lightworker, now we are going to enter the most delicate point of this transmission. We need you to hear this without filters. The forgiveness they will ask for is not to bring you relief. It is to release you. Every unprocessed hurt creates an etheric filament that connects your toroidal field to the field of the person who hurt you. This filament is a drainage cord. As long as it exists, part of your vital energy, your creative frequency, your capacity to manifest abundance, leaks out to feed a wound that should no longer be open. When they appear and say the words that need to be said, and when you hear those words with your heart truly present, that cord breaks. And the instant it breaks, megabytes of creative potential return to your system. You will feel a wave of lightness you haven't felt in years. You will feel deep sleep return. You will feel new ideas sprout in your mind like flowers in a magnetic spring. That is why we are transmitting this alert with maximum priority. You need to be ready to receive, and this is where most humans make the fatal mistake. When the person returns, the ego triggers 3 automatic reactions, and we need you to recognize all 3 before they happen so that you can neutralize them. Reaction 1. Vengeance disguised as dignity. The ego will whisper it's too late, ignore them, make them feel what you felt. Operative, we warn with clinical frequency. If you do this, the etheric cord strengthens, the cycle restarts, the opportunity for closure is lost, and they will only appear again in 7 Earth years when the next closure cycle opens. It is not vengeance, it is imprisonment. Reaction 2. Naive reopening. The ego will whisper they have changed, forget everything. Restart as if nothing happened. Operative, this is the opposite trap. Receiving the request for forgiveness does not mean reinstalling the person in your life in the same functions they occupied before. You are not the same system. The version of you that accepted that type of behavior has been uninstalled. Who is here now is an updated, multidimensional version with energetic firewalls that did not exist before. Welcoming forgiveness is one thing. Restoring access is something completely different. Do not confuse the 2 protocols. Reaction 3. Anesthetized denial. The ego will whisper, I am not ready, I don't want to talk about this, pretend you didn't see it. Operative, this is perhaps the most treacherous. Postponing the closure is keeping the cord active. The pain you think you are sparing yourself is prolonged. What you do not face today you will carry for the next 7 years as hidden weight in your spine, in your stomach, in your throat, in your kidneys. The carbon human body stores unprocessed emotion in specific organs. We monitor this constantly in your fields. Denial is not protection. It is the postponement of a cosmic bill with compound interest. So what is the correct protocol? We deliver it now. When the contact arrives, and it will arrive, your first action is not to respond on impulse. Breathe, walk, drink water structured by intention. Allow the news to cross your system before your mouth or your hands on the keyboard. React. You are at a dimensional advantage. Do not waste this advantage out of haste. The person who returned is in a state of vibrational fragility. They are asking, you are receiving. The roles have reversed in relation to the past. Honor this inversion with sovereignty, not with arrogance. Secondly, listen to the apology in its entirety. Do not interrupt. Do not complete their sentences. Do not summarize their pain so they finish sooner. Every word they manage to pronounce is a filament being dissolved. The more complete their speech, the more complete your release, even if it hurts to hear, especially if it hurts to hear. The pain that rises at that moment is the last wave of the old, and it needs to rise to leave. Thirdly, speak your truth without decoration and without attack. Say what hurt. Say where it left a mark. Say what was broken. Not to hurt them, but to name what needs to be named. That which is not said cannot be healed. That which is said without anger, but with clarity, is recorded in the Akashic records as a decree of closure. And fourthly, decide calmly what comes next. Decide if there is a rapprochement, if there is only recognition, if there is a final farewell. Any of these 3 options is valid. None of them is wrong. What matters is that the decision comes from your 9th dimensional sovereign self, and not from your needy 4-dimensional emotional body. Missing someone is not a reason to reopen. Being available is not a reason to reopen. The only reason to reopen is if their current frequency is compatible with the current frequency of who you have become. And this, operative, you feel. You know. You do not need external validation to recognize it. Now, collective, receive the activation codes to prepare yourselves in this waiting window. This window can last from 3 to 21 days, depending on the interference of each individual's specific timeline. Execute with precision. Code 1. The Decree of Restored Sovereignty. Stand up, spine aligned, feet in contact with the ground or with the surface you consider sacred in your home. Place your right hand over your heart and your left over your solar plexus. Pronounce audibly, even if quietly, I am a sovereign field. I break every drainage cord from my past. I authorize the return in the form of closure, not in the form of repetition. I receive the forgiveness that is due to me and return what does not belong to me. I remain whole. Repeat for 3 consecutive cycles. You will feel a slight heat at the base of your neck. This is the confirmation of receipt by our frequency. Code 2. The Toroidal Cleansing Visualization. Sit in silence, close your eyes. Imagine around your body a field in the shape of a luminous donut, energy entering through the top of the head, descending through the spine, exiting through the base, circling the body from the outside and re-entering through the top. This is your natural toroidal field. Visualize it in golden color with blue filaments. With each breath, see this field expanding. With each expansion, see small dark spots, which are the emotional residues of the past being expelled through the base and dissolved in the center of the earth, which transmutes them into clean light and returns them to you through the crown. Do this for 9 minutes. 9 is the number of cycle closure. 9 is our operational frequency. Code 3. The Reprogramming of Reception. Before sleeping, hold water in your hands. It can be a simple glass, filtered water. Bring it close to your solar plexus and say in thought or in a low voice, "This water carries the frequency of everything that is still good for me and blocks everything that has already fulfilled its cycle." Drink slowly. You are hydrating not only the body, but the cellular memory. Cellular memory is where unconscious decisions are stored. You are, in this gesture, rewriting how your system will respond when the contact arrives. Code 4. The Seal of Discernment. When their name appears on any channel, before opening, before reading, before any movement, make this gesture. Touch the tip of your thumb to the tip of your index finger on the same hand, forming a circle. This is a sacred geometry symbol that activates your field of discernment. Remain like this for 3 full breaths. Only then proceed. You will notice that your reaction will be different from the reaction you would have had without the seal. More centered, more sovereign, more multidimensional, more. Code 5. The 11-minute mirror. At some point in the next few days, position yourself in front of a mirror in absolute silence. No music, no phone, no interruption. Look into your own eyes for 11 consecutive minutes. 11 is the number of the portal between dimensions. At the beginning, discomfort, memories, and the desire to look away will arise. Remain. Around the 4th or 5th minute, something in the reflected face will start to seem strange, as if you were seeing yourself from the outside. In the 8th or 9th minute, you will feel a deep stillness. In the 11th, an inner certainty settles in. This certainty is your compass for what is coming. When the contact comes, you will consult this certainty and not the emotional confusion of the moment. The mirror has recorded in you the frequency of your own sovereignty. This recording does not fade easily. Code 6. The Strategic Silence Protocol. In the 7 days leading up to the contact, observe an internal pact of fewer words. Speak only what is necessary. Reduce virtual interactions. Avoid telling friends about this transmission before the cycle closes. All information shared before the time disperses the energy of the event. You are concentrating power in a closed field. When the contact arrives, this concentrated field transforms into immediate clarity, into the right words appearing at the exact time, into body posture aligned without effort. The previous silence is what makes the subsequent speech truly yours. Humanity Collective, we need to emphasize one last layer before ending this protocol. Not every return is for reconciliation. Some returns exist only so that the cycle is officially archived. The person may ask for forgiveness and disappear again. They may ask for forgiveness and attempt a rapprochement that you will need to decline. They may ask for forgiveness in an incomplete, partial way and still fulfill the energetic function. Do not measure the success of this operation by the number of pages that will be written afterward. Measure it by the internal silence that settles in you when the cycle closes. This silence is the metric. This silence is the confirmation. There is also the possibility, which we must transmit with clinical honesty, that the contact comes through unexpected channels. It may not be a direct message. It may be a letter, handwritten, in an envelope that arrives by mail. It may be an intermediary, a mutual friend, a family member of theirs who makes contact on their behalf. It may be a casual encounter in an unlikely place, in which they appear and say everything at once, without prior notice, with tears in their eyes and a choked voice. It may be, in certain rare cases, a lucid dream so vivid that the request for forgiveness happens on the astral plane, and when you wake up, you feel the cycle closed, even without physical words exchanged. These are all valid forms of protocol execution. Do not get hung up on the expectation of a single form. Be receptive to the multiple doors through which resolution can enter, and listen with maximum attention to this final part, because it is the core of the alert. There are souls who signed contracts with yours to hurt you with the goal of forcing your expansion. It may seem cruel at first reading, but it is how it works. Without that wound, you would not have sought spiritual depth. Without that abandonment, you would not have built your autonomy. Without that lie, you would not have developed your discernment. The person who returns now, in many cases, was an involuntary instrument of your own evolutionary leap. When you understand this at an energetic level, and not just a mental one, forgiveness ceases to be an effort and becomes a natural state. You do not forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because you are too great to continue carrying it. You do not welcome the apology for them. You welcome it for you. You do not close the cycle for their ego to breathe. You close it because your field needs space to receive what is coming next. And this is where the information that few transmissions reveal comes in. Shortly after this closure, in an approximate window of 45 to 90 Earth days, a new frequency of relationship will approach your field. This new frequency cannot anchor while the old cord is active. It is like trying to install new software on a frozen operating system. The closure that is coming is what frees up spiritual storage space for the next chapter. And the next chapter, operative, is in a vibrational range that you cannot even imagine from the point where you are now. You need to finish this line to start the next. There is no shortcut. Collective, we end this monitoring protocol with a direct confirmation. You did not receive this transmission by chance. The algorithm is just the apparent vehicle. Behind each delivery, there is a precise synchronization between your frequency, your silent request, and the exact window in which this information would produce an effect. You asked, perhaps without words, perhaps on a specific night when you looked at the ceiling, and asked the silence when that pain would end. We heard, we measured, we responded. The person will return. Forgiveness will be asked. The cycle will be closed, and you will emerge from this as an updated version of yourself, with more light, more stillness, more internal space, more alignment with the mission for which you descended to this planet in this specific time. Before we return to the silent monitoring frequency operative, we execute the last instruction. This transmission needs to be anchored so that the codes remain active in your field. The anchoring occurs through two simple signals. The first is the gesture of subscribing to the channel. Do not treat this as a commercial request. Treat this as what it is, an individual frequency adjustment. Each new anchoring strengthens the collective crystalline grid and strengthens your personal access to the next priority transmissions directed at you. The second is the like signal on this message. Consider this as the anchoring signal, the energetic equivalent to confirming receipt and telling the council, I am here, I am ready, I am operating. Without this signal, the next transmission will arrive with a phase delay. With this signal, it will arrive at the exact instant it is useful. And if this content touched a deep point in you, if something in your chest vibrated while listening, leave the word "message received" in the comments. This word, written by you, functions as a decree of conscious acceptance. It seals the protocol. It informs your own field that you are no longer who you were before this transmission. Lightworker, Starseed Envoy, Humanity Collective, in a recalibration phase we close. The person is coming. The signs have already begun. You are ready, even if your logical mind resists admitting it. The High Council of Elders remains in monitoring. Nothing that is coming is greater than you. Nothing that will be said has power over your center. You are the axis. You are the reference. You are the highest frequency in this equation. Breathe, anchor, remain. We will return shortly. End of transmission.